everyone, welcome to this slow flow. So this is just going to be a nice way to unwind, maybe at the end of your day, maybe even after you've done some exercise and you just want to slow everything down. So let's begin. We're going to start lying on our backs in Savasana. And I'd like you to bring your feet to the outer edges of your mat and the knees together. This just really means that your lower back can feel quite heavy on the floor. Let's put one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. Just take a few deep breaths. See how much movement you have under each of those hands. And then let's start to create almost a wave effect so that when you inhale, it feels like your belly rises first, then the chest. When you exhale, belly drops, then the chest. Let's keep going like this. So inhale, belly rises. Keep on inhaling so that the chest rises. When you exhale, belly drops in first. Chest drops in as you keep on exhaling. Carry this on a few rounds. And just take two more like this. Notice already what slowing the breath does to how you feel, what it does to your body, what it does to your mood, focus. Okay, just let the hands relax either onto your chest, your stomach or the floor. And start to breathe in a way that feels maintainable, that feels slow, steady and calming. I suggest that you try thinking about having an exhale that is longer than your inhale, so that your exhale is drawn out, it's long. But if that isn't quite for you, just adapt. As long as you find a pattern of breath that feels like it's safe, like it soothes you in some way, then that's really what we're looking for. Let your head rock side to side a couple of times. Bring your right knee into the chest. Take hold of the right knee with the fingers interlaced. Slide the left leg straight out in front of you. Just take a moment to move your right leg side to side. It doesn't have to be a big movement, it can be quite small. You can draw a circle with the right leg. Eyes are still closed. Then let go of that right leg, but keep drawing some circles. Maybe the circles are a little bit bigger. And swap your legs. Slide the right leg out in front, bring the left knee in, squeeze it in, interlacing the fingers, and just have a little wiggle side to side, a bit of movement. Draw some small circles. Let go of the knee and draw some slightly bigger circles. They don't have to sway your whole body side to side. Bring both knees in. Squeeze both knees into the chest. Have a rock side to side. Maybe forwards and backwards, maybe small circles. Maybe even bring your forehead up to meet the knees if that feels good. Rock backwards and forwards until you come up to seated with your eyes closed. Sit in a cross-legged position. You can sit on a block, you can sit on a cushion. You can kneel if that's a bit nicer for you. Place your hands on your knees, sitting tall, and then blink your eyes open. Seated cat-cows, we're going to bring the chest through the arms. And you don't have to throw your head all the way back. We're just finding some length up through the spine. And then pull all the way back. Use your hands on your knees here. Feel like you're pulling your belly button in towards your spine. You can just drop the head down. Inhale as you bring it through. Try not to throw the head all the way back. Just open up the chest, the shoulders. Exhale, pull everything back. Hands on the knees. Take a couple more. Close your eyes and enjoy the movement. So, how does this feel better for you? Do you need to make it slower, faster? Do you need to wiggle a little bit as well whilst we're here? This is your practice, so I'm just a guide. And you can just edit and tweak things as we go. Take one more round wherever you're at. Come all the way up to seated. Put your right hand down at the side if you lift the left arm up. But then instead of lifting it up and opening the chest, feel like you're bringing your arm really close to your face. You can, in other ways, put your hand on your shoulder, bring your elbow up. It's quite hard to get it high then, and then just extend it. So you really want your bicep to be pretty close to your face, if not touching it. And then reach. So instead of reaching over to the side, it almost feels like you're reaching a little bit forwards and at an angle at the same time. Bend that right elbow. You can let the head relax. You can move it. Come up, bend the left elbow and take the left hand down. Same thing with the right arm, so hand on the shoulder, lift across and up, extend, or just reach up and quite close to your face. Bend into the left elbow, feel that length. Head can be down, up, whatever works. And then bend that right elbow, come all the way up. Alright, sit up tall. Legs don't need to be crossed if that's not great for you. Lift your arms all the way up as you inhale. And as you exhale, we're just going to turn them so the palms are down and bring them all the way down. So your elbows can be bent or straight. And what I'd like you to imagine is as we lift, almost like we're moving underwater. So there's this kind of effort as you lift the arm up. And then when you move back down, it's like you're pushing the water down, almost like if you were underwater and you were trying to push to bring yourself up. So inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, palms face down, pushing down. Inhale, lift, pushing up. Exhale, lower. Hands are facing down, you're pushing with the palms. With the breath. So big inhale as you lift up. Find that resistance. Big exhale as you lower, pressing the palms down towards the ground. Take a couple more. Inhale. Exhale, and you can just keep the head in neutral. You don't have to do anything with your neck here. Maybe even just close your eyes. Okay, hands to the floor. Lean slightly forward, so if you're not sat with cross leg, this might be a time that you do cross your legs. Fingertips forwards in front of you, and just feel like you're tipping a tiny bit forwards, just like someone's pushed you that little bit forwards here. Still lengthening your spine, still pulling the lower belly in. Walk your hands to the right hand side. Keep your lower body as it is. So if you feel like you're tipping, just bring it back a notch. Lift this left arm up by your face, twist, kind of like we did before. You're almost reaching across your face. And then bend the left elbow down as if you're trying to take it to the back of your rib cage, almost like you're trying to get it behind your body. You can let the head relax and then reach the left arm up, back close to your face. Elbow back behind you. Up close to your face. Elbow back behind you. I want you to do 3 or 4 more of these and just add on anything that feels good. So you might be someone who needs a bigger movement here. You might be someone that actually just wants to stay still. Whatever. Adjust it for you. That's when this becomes your practice and you can really forget about what I'm doing, what I'm saying. We're going to swap this to the other side, so the next time your left arm comes forwards, bring it down to join your right. Lengthen your spine. Walk your hands all the way over to the opposite side. Lift the right arm close to the face. Okay. Bend that elbow, take it back almost behind your rib cage. So it's not just down here, it's going as if it's trying to get behind your back. Back up, close to the face. Come all the way down, behind your back. Come up close to the face. And then just do what you want for a few of these. You know what, you can move with your breath. You can move if you've got music on. That can become a part of your practice. The rhythm, the pace, the energy even. Take a couple more. And then the next time that your right hand is reaching forwards past your face, bring it down to meet your left and walk your hands into the centre. Lengthen your spine. Imagine you're really trying to sit up out of the base of your spine and get tall. Just stay on your fingertips. And then walk your hands in, lift all the way back up, come into a tabletop. So set up your tabletop with your wrists underneath the ball and socket of your shoulder so they're in one nice line. And then your knees are underneath the crease at the front of your hip. Start to draw some circles with your shoulders over your wrists. So I really want you to focus on your fingers and your hands when you're here. So keep drawing some circles. Now, what I see a lot of is hands that sort of fall asleep a little bit like this. And I think that's just because we don't ever spread them really, really wide in everyday life. So when you're looking down now and you're drawing these circles with your shoulders over the wrists, spread as much as you can. Really take up space with the hands and push down a little bit through the knuckles. So make the hands come alive a bit more. Don't let them sort of fall asleep. Keeping your hands really widely spread as they are now. Turn them so the wrists are close together. They don't have to touch. There can be a little gap between your wrists. And your fingers now point out to the sides of your mat. Look down. How much space can the fingers take up? Draw small circles here. Draw small circles the opposite way. And then keep your fingers pointing out like they are, but just step your hands so they go wider. So your palms are on the mat and your fingers are not on the mat, they're on the floor. And just shift your weight into one hand then the other one as you move your shoulders left and right. Again, move in a way that you want to. Bring your hands back into tabletop. This time, turn your fingers to point towards your own body. Now, some people can't do this, so if you can't, just go as far as you can, and then that's okay for you for today. And then I want you to bend your elbows. So instead of locking out the arms, which is quite common here, bend your elbows. It doesn't have to be loads, it's not 90 degrees, you just have to bend them. You might be feeling this a bit more in your forearm. We can increase this a little bit, so just go as far as feels alright. Knees together, shins wide, feet go wider across the mat. And then keep that bend in the elbows and round your back, chin to chest. And breathe. Don't overstretch. Just see how your forearms feel. And then carefully release. Give one hand a little shake. Leave the legs as they are. Give each hand a shake, and then you're coming into a tabletop, but with the knees together, just as they are, just as they just were. Knees together, shins out. Tabletop pose. Fingers are spread wide. You're really pressing into your knuckles, so we've got some kind of commitment here that the hands are on the floor. And then with the knees together, you can either have toes tucked or untucked, whichever one works for you. We're going to take a few cat-cows with the spine. It's likely to feel like you can't get as far as you normally do. It's just because we've got something slightly different going on with the angle in your hips, the movement of your pelvis. Just take a few rounds. And then we're going to come into a down dog with the feet like this. So hands can come slightly further forward. Feet can tuck under, toes tuck under even. And then the feet are going to kind of go out a little bit. Knees can be bent. And just shift the weight a little bit. You can bend one leg than the other one. So you don't want to drop through your shoulders here. You're pushing down through the hands. If you move your head side to side, your ears will touch your arms. And then lengthen your spine. And just find this wide-legged down dog with this slight internal rotation in the legs. You can wiggle, you can move, or you can stay still. Then come into your regular downwards facing dog. Bend the knees a few times. And walk your feet really slowly to the front of your mat, keeping your hands down if you can. Then let go when you get there. Bend your knees a lot. Bring your rib cage and put it on your thighs. Grab hold of opposite elbows and just have a sway side to side in ragdoll. Make sure you keep that connection here of your rib cage on the thighs. If you want to, hands behind the back of the skull and just let them feel heavy. Bring your hands down. We're going to set the right foot back. Drop the right knee down to the floor. Keep the toes tucked under. If this is too much, just do this in a high lunge instead so you don't drop the knee. If it's okay on your knee, or you can use some cushioning underneath it, have the knee on the floor. Lift both arms up. And don't drop through your hips here. So think about getting taller in your spine. Think about pulling your lower belly in and squeezing the right glute. Take hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Get into that little crease that you've got in your wrist and then pull a bit higher and lean to the left hand side. And make sure you're still squeezing that right glute. Still pulling the lower belly in. Avoiding the back bend. Come back up. Bring your right hand down to the floor and your left hand will lift up into the air, and then we're going to lift that back knee off the floor into a twisted crescent. A few deep breaths. Relax the head, relax the neck. Bring both hands down. Step the feet together at the front. Step the left foot back. Drop the left knee down. Lift the arms up. And again, whilst you're here, avoid this kind of collapsing into a back bend. And instead, Just think about drawing a line from your knee, up the body, hips, shoulders, head, arms join in. Tucking the back toes will be helpful if you can. Right hand around your left wrist, left glute is engaged. Lift higher and lean to your right hand side. And try and feel like we're stretching all the way down through the knee to the back foot. So imagine almost like an elastic band that goes all the way up your body, and you're just applying some pressure to that elastic band by pulling your wrist and by tucking those back toes underneath. Release, bring the hands down. Step back into downwards facing dog. Have a little wiggle, bend each leg one at a time. Walk your feet slowly to the front. Come back into your ragdoll pose. Bend your knees a lot. Push the hips back. Get the rib cage on the thighs. Grab opposite elbows and sway side to side. And then keep hold of opposite elbows and slowly start to roll up to standing. Take your time. Keep hold of opposite elbows, come up to standing. Take your hands, take your arms even, up, overhead. Holding opposite elbows. And then keep hold of them. And you're standing up nice and tall. What might happen is your ribs might open. So as you're stood here and the rib cage pushes forwards, what I'd like you to try to do is keep your arms above the head and almost imagine that someone's got hold of your rib cage and they're just closing the ribs sort of back in together again. So pulling the front rib cage in, pulling the lower belly in, standing up tall. Lean to your right. Come up, lean to your left. Come up, reach the hands up, and just draw circles with the wrists. From here, we're going to take our right hand forward and our left hand backwards into a twist. Lift back up, inhale. Exhale, right hand back, left hand forwards, find that twist. Inhale, lift back up. Keep doing this. Right hand forward, left hand back, lift. Right hand back, left hand forward. Keep going. And at the same time, imagine, in fact you can look down and have a look, try to keep your hips just facing forwards, so that if they had headlights on, they point straight ahead. So this twist might not be as big as you want it to be, which is fine. Okay. Lift the hands both up. Bend your knees, push your hips back, fold down, hinging. So we're hinging from the hip here. Hands come down to the floor. Wiggle your feet a bit wider if they're quite close. Put your right hand down on the floor. Lift the left arm up towards the ceiling. Let the head relax. And then you can bend one knee and then the other one a few times. Swap your hands over, lift the right hand, let the head relax. And again, you can stay still or you can just have that little movement in the knees. Bring both hands down. Step back into your downwards facing dog. From down dog, lift the right leg up in the air. Step it through in between your hands at the top, trying not to lift the hands. Plant the back knee down. This time, bend it up in the air into a lizard lunge. So this lizard lunge might be different to what you know. Take your right hand back, take hold of your left foot, and just gently guide the foot in towards you. You can open up the chest to the side, but try not to sink and collapse down through your hips. Instead, feel like you're squeezing everything in your hips in towards the middle of your body. Release this back foot down to the floor. Warrior two, turn the back foot out 90 degrees, cartwheel up. Okay, warrior two, we're going to bring our hands onto the hips. And don't worry too much about how deep you go. Instead, I just want you to imagine that your hips, your pelvis here, it's like a bowl of water, and you're going to hold that bowl of water and not tip it. So then, I want you to move your rib cage forwards, as if you were going to lean on your front leg, but with the hands on the hips, just start to lean forwards, but without moving anything around your pelvis. So imagine it's a bowl of water and you don't want it to spill. Come up, move your rib cage leaning backwards towards your back leg without moving the pelvis. Come back up. Again, lean forward. So everything above this line is moving and everything below it is trying its best to stay still. Come back up and reverse. Come back up. Lift both arms, straighten both legs, and then back down, warrior two. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Arms can be like we did at the start, almost like you're lifting through water and pushing it back down. Let's do one more. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Look at your front leg. Bring both hands to frame it. Step back, down dog. From down dog, lift the left leg. Step it through in between the hands at the top without lifting the hands off. Drop the right knee down, bend the right leg. Lift, take your left arm back, take hold into this lizard stretch. So you're holding, but you're not collapsing. You're squeezing everything in your hips. Think about your hips, think about everything that surrounds them, and think about it all actually trying to engage rather than trying to be very loose and relaxed. Release it carefully. Bring both hands down, warrior two. The back foot turns and we lift all the way up into your warrior two pose. Same thing, hands are going to come onto the pelvis. Hold it here as if you don't want it to move. And let's lean forwards first this time. Doesn't have to be far at all. Just think about the ribs moving, but not the pelvis. Lean back. Lean forwards. Lean back. Lean forwards. And lean back. Okay, this time look at your, no, let's come to warrior two instead. Let's lift up and imagine that you're pressing through water. Straighten the legs, exhale, you're pressing down. Nearly forgot this bit. Lift up, press through, exhale down. Couple more just with your breath. And then look at that front foot, both hands can come down. Frame it, step back downwards facing dog. From down dog, take your feet wide like we did at the start. Turn your toes in, heels out. Bend your knees and get some more length in your spine. And then drop your knees together. Come into that tabletop that we did. You might want to walk the hands in. And a couple of rounds of cat-cow. Knees are together, toes are tucked. Next time you've got your head up and belly down, turn your hands to point back towards your knees. Bend your elbows a little bit. And then keep the bend in the elbows round through your spine, chin to chest. Hold it, breathe. Take a few breaths here. Really feel like you're pressing into the bottom of the back as well, lifting up towards the ceiling. Bring your shins together, release your hands. Just roll all the way back into a kneeling position. Move your legs out to one side. Come to lie down on your back. Bring your right knee with you as you hug it into the chest. Your left leg can stay so that the foot is on the floor and the left knee points to the ceiling. Draw a few circles with your right knee. And then find your figure 4 stretch. So right ankle comes onto your left knee. Let your right leg swing open, but it doesn't have to go really, really far. It just has to go as far as it will go before you feel like your pelvis starts to tip, starts to move. And just rock side to side with the lower body. As we do this, you might want your hands on your belly, on your chest, just being aware of your breath. And then cross your right leg now fully over your left leg, almost like you're sat cross-legged, like eagle legs. We're going to use your left foot on the floor to shift your hips to the right hand side. So put your left foot on the floor, lift your hips, take them over to the right side of your mat. Right leg is already crossed over the left. Let both legs drop to the left hand side. So hips to the right, right leg crosses over left, and then both legs drop over to the left. Find a twist. And release. Come back to center. Readjust your hips. Bring them into the middle. Right leg stays as it is now. The foot is on the floor, the knee points to the ceiling, and the left knee comes to the chest. Take hold of the left leg and just give it a wiggle. You can close the eyes. Left ankle to the right knee. Left knee opens a little bit, but we're not going to push and push and push. We're just going to keep the pelvis pretty stable. You can feel with your fingers the two bony parts at the front of the pelvis, and just make sure one isn't higher than the other one, that they're just in line. And then hands on the chest, at the belly or wherever, and rock from your pelvis side to side, just letting the lower body have a little bit of a rock. It doesn't have to be anything big. Then we're going to come into that eagle legs twist to end. So as your legs are, just continue to slide your left leg over your right, so it becomes more of a cross-legged position. And then use your right foot, push into the floor, pick your hips off the floor, and put them back down slightly to the left-hand side. Let both legs drop like this over to the right. And try and keep your shoulders down on the floor. Make any little adjustments that you need. A few breaths now in this twist. And back into the middle. Eyes are closed. Unravel. Hips to the middle. Spine is neutral. Feet go wide to the edges of the mat. Knees drop in together. Let the knees touch. And do this so that your lower back sits quite comfortably on the floor. Come into Savasana. You can either keep the legs as they are, hands on belly, chest, feeling the breath, or hands on the ground. If it's okay to do so, you can just lengthen out the legs. If you prefer the feeling of the knees pointing up, then do. Let's take a bit of time in Savasana. So if you have time, stay here for longer. Stay here for 5-10 minutes if you can. Otherwise, just come with me to take a couple of stretches. Keeping your eyes closed, just any movement that you naturally want to take. Maybe bringing one or both knees to the chest. Coming up to seated, however you want to. And if you have the time to sit just for a couple of minutes, please do. Otherwise, take one final breath. Hands to heart center. Namaste.